Hi there, welcome to Algorand Wyckoff Technical Analysis session. If you're new to my sessions, these are the takeaways you can expect after the session. Basically, I'll cover the Wyckoff stages, both current and upcoming, in both weekly and daily time frame. Also, the key price levels where, in this case, Algorand would find support or resistance. And eventually, any breakout timing that the charts are telling us. So let's go into the weekly chart, and what we first see here is that for the third consecutive week, Algorand is testing this uptrend support line. This uptrend support line is the line showing us higher and higher lows. Okay, up to this point is still a higher low. So if it breaks below this line and closes below it, that means this trend line no longer supports this uptrend, and this may be the end of this lower low trend. And what we have to see is whether the price would come back not only the orange key level of 16 cents but also the red key level of 10 cents. Okay, because the price is still trading at the lower half of this downward trend box, this blue box over here. So as long as it's still within this or along this direction, heading south towards the orange and eventually the red, which I discussed with you in the past few sessions, that this is likely the case until we see a test and a rebound from a test. Okay, so we've got two sets of Wyckoff texts here. The orange ones are the accumulation cycle, a bigger accumulation cycle, which I still inclined to believe that's the case. That's the thing that we're going through. The green ones are referring to a hypothesis that the peak in mid-July was actually a buying climax of a mini distribution cycle, and we are basically returning to a selling climax soon in the green scenario. Not that I think or I hope it is, because it would be rather funny, because what we see over here is that there was a mini distribution in end of 2023 up till middle of 2024. Okay, and now it seems we're seeing another one by middle of this year and ending just in 3 months. So I hope that's not the case. I still hope that the orange one is the more accurate scenario, where we're still waiting for a buying climax or like a distribution cycle to come that is similar to what we had back in November last year. So very similar time frame. Okay, and breakout indication, we talk about this white dash line coming down and this trend line that we just talked about. The timing that they indicate is somewhere near middle of November, so roughly about 2 to 2.5 weeks from now, and then that's where a potential breakout will happen. Not that this breakout is going to tell us whether the downtrend is over, because whether it breaks out to the upside above this dash line coming down or breaks to the downside of this support line, it's still within this blue box, meaning it's still within this downward channel. However, if it really shoots about this point and eventually passes the yellow key level of 20 cents, it is the first time since mid-August that the price went and closes above or inside the upper half of this downward channel. So that's the first positive sign that it can edge towards this triangle, where there is a time indication of near the end of January that it can potentially break outside of this channel. So in order to break outside of the channel, it has to first move from the bottom half to the upper half, right? And then that's where it's got a chance to eventually break outside. So that's the big picture. Still higher percentage in terms of Wyckoff stage heading towards the downside for a test. And the chance is slim, but it's not none, that we may see backup or last point of support period before we head to the preliminary supply. So that's why they're same percentages. Likewise for the green scenario. So before getting to the daily chart, let's quickly check the Bollinger Band and corner squeeze. I would say this is very close to squeeze scenario, even though the white or this shades hasn't happened at the back. But you see the purple line and the orange lines are very close together. And if the price continues to trade narrow range, in a week or two, these two sets of lines will definitely get close enough to trigger the shade. If you're new to this Bollinger Band corner squeeze indicator, it's telling us potential bigger price swings is getting near. So this time it's a swing up, this time likewise, but this time is a swing downwards. So no direction indication, just an indication of potential higher magnitude swing is coming. Okay, that's the indicator itself. And to the daily, we have passed through a squeeze, but there wasn't much of a crazy wave. I think it's also because that's pretty much triggered by what happened on October 10th. So we can switch that off for now and go back to the Wyckoff stages and the drawings. So here, previously we talked about the test, and it finished on Friday, which is like the day we did this session, same session. Unfortunately, like it finished over there and got a bounce, just that it's still lingering around this or along this support line that we talked about. So this can be treated as a second test. If I change it to a line chart, you can clearly see the second mini dip over here. But I'm not going to like remove the question mark, because the more important question for us is whether it's going to come down to the orange key level, right, the 16 cents range, to show us like a deeper test. We haven't seen it yet. We've actually got a spring tag over here. Spring, if you're new to Wyckoff, is actually a stage where we see a very deep, very deep price level, lower than the selling climax. For this case, the selling climax was over there, and then we've got the automatic rally right there. So let me enlarge this a little, and then it came back down for a second test, and then there was a sign of strength period, and eventually it came down for, let's borrow a test here, and rebound for a bit before it comes down for a spring. So that's when the big guys are scaring everybody out. All the small fishes or weaker hands are being forced to leave, and then the big guys start to push the price up to all the way the May this year, the upthrust. First we had the buying climax in late April. The price came down, and then they gave it a push again just to let the price to drop back to where it was. And this time the selling climax back in late June was as low as the spring we had in April. Okay, now we're still a bit higher than that, and that's why I'm saying there's still a chance for the price to come back to the orange key level to give us that kind of shakeout before it actually pushes the price up. And over here we said that's 70% towards this side, and it's still in the downtrend. So for the same sense that it comes down to the orange level for spring is still of a higher chance than going to show us a sign of strength in the near term. Okay, that's all for Algorand today. Thanks for joining me. See you in the next session.